Right, boys, so this is my little thought of the day. My last few videos have been about sugar, so I'm just kind of continuing on that train of thought. But this is something I've observed, and it's just like clockwork for me now, so I just know it's cause and effect. Parents out there, have you ever noticed when you give your kids sugar or sweets, within 10 minutes, they're playing up, they're loud, they're bouncing off the walls, and they're being naughty? Now, we make excuses for it, and we kind of make excuses for their behaviour and say, oh, they're tired. That's a common one. But it isn't. It's because you just gave them sugar. You might not have noticed this. I know to some people this will be obvious, and to others they'll think, no, it's just because they're tired or they're bored or something like that. Because kids have got many reasons to play up. Hungry, tired, bored. So just try this. This is your actionable step. If this is something you give your kids anyway, just be mindful. Have like clean meals all day, and then give them a chocolate bar or sugar or sweets. And just look at their behaviour. Really pay attention to their behaviour. They go like little crackheads. Honestly, it's like drug addict behaviour. So you've got to look out for it. And it's because the sugar is creating like an agitation, an irritability, and then they play up, and then you have to tell them off, essentially. And I've noticed this is a common cycle that a lot of parents will do, and it seems avoidable, and it doesn't seem fair on the child. You're the responsible adult who is choosing what to feed your child, and if you choose to feed your child something that clearly doesn't agree with them, makes them naughty, and then you've got to tell them off, that's your fault. That's not the kid's fault. So, and I can relate to this because I know if I eat enough sugar, I get irritable, and I would start playing up, so to speak. But I'm an adult, so I moderate my behaviour. But it's even a struggle for me. Now, not all kids get affected by this. Some get away with it. I don't know how. It's just how you tolerate sugar, I guess. But the majority of kids won't be able to handle sugar. And it's also highly addictive. So if you give your kids sweets and sugar and then you take it away, they'll also get irritable, like withdrawal symptoms. So just try and observe, is this something that you've noticed and something that happens with your kids? But so the lesson from this is, if children can't tolerate sugar, then it's probably no good for adults either, because they're just a more expressive version. They just express how they feel and their behaviour changes, whereas we can kind of moderate our behaviour. So another thing is, if your kids are addicted to sugar and you try and take it away, you say, right, we only eat real food now, we don't eat sugar and sweets, and they kick off. One, that's your fault. And two, you have exposed your child to an addictive substance that has negative effects before they're even old enough to have a choice. So I don't want to talk about hard drugs because I'll probably get shadow banned or something. But is your child addicted to the drug that begins with H, the really bad one? Right? No. Because they've never had access to it, you've never given it to them. Like, is your child a smoker? No, because you're adamant that they shouldn't smoke and you don't let them smoke. But I would argue that letting your child have sugar and sweets is just as bad. And you're creating an addiction. I mean, there's a lot of science coming out that says sugar is as addictive as cocaine and other drugs like that. So, I don't know, I just see it a lot. I see parents regularly giving their children sugar, and I see, like clockwork, 10 minutes later, the negative effect of doing that. And I don't think it's fair on the child. So that's just my kind of thought in terms of sugar with children and with adults. Eating sugar yourself isn't a good idea as far as I'm concerned. But I see sugar as like a drug that everybody's accepted. I don't think it's normal to have refined sugar in your diet at all. And I think there are a lot of negatives associated with that. So if you can eliminate sugar for you and your children, I think that's a good idea. The other thing is, I mentioned the other day about ingredients lists. And somewhere I've noticed that this is a massive issue, as far as I can tell, is in baby formula milk. The ingredients in baby formula milk, I expected it to be like perfect, really good ingredients. So if you can't breastfeed, or you're just giving your baby, like you're giving your child formula milk, you'll go for like these brands. And I checked every different brand and they all had the same ingredients. And the one that I think is an issue is soy. I read this book, Estrogeneration, and in it he says there's like two main estrogenics. So these are foods that disrupt hormones. Now you've got testosterone and estrogen, and they work in balance. So men and women need both, but they need them in a right balance. When you eat soy, I can't remember what it said in the book, but the percentage of like estrogen in it, it just has a massive negative effect on the body and throws the body out of balance. Now, if you're giving your children high amounts of soy, it's going to affect their hormones and the development of like their sexuality and their reproductive system, essentially. So yeah, I guess my actionable step is be mindful of what you're feeding your children and look at the ingredients list on baby formula milk. So something that I'm learning that's bad is estrogens, estrogenics and seed oils. And a lot of formula milk has soy and sunflower oil and seed oils in them. So don't turn your kids into crackheads. Done. Just to be clear, I don't have kids, so if you're thinking, oh, what's he chatting, he doesn't know what he's on about, then, I mean, I don't. If you're thinking like, oh, easy for you to say, but this is just what I've observed in friends and family kids, and when I have kids, it's something I'm going to try and implement. So just thoughts to throw out there for you boys.